This week on the Eurostep, Kawhi's trouble in paradise. Which is weirder, Fultz or Leonard?
The Malice in Dallas.
The current free agent market, and a review of the best weekend in basketball.
We're going to start this week with Kawhi Leonard. Trouble in paradise at San Antonio Spurs, it seems. He's been, according to Woj, he's been cleared by the medical staff to return, but he's seems to be that he'll be sitting out for the rest of the season. I'll start with you, Killian. What's going on?
Who knows what's going on in San Antonio? Not much has come out. It's all been about his quad injury, and he clearly doesn't have faith in the Spurs medical staff, in my opinion, seeing as he's gone to New York to seek a second opinion regarding the matter. Like I said, who knows what's going on in San Antonio? Does he have confidence in himself, or is he lacking confidence in the Spurs organisation?
Yeah, it's that right quad that's bothering him. It's been a nagging injury the past few years for Kawhi. He went to New York, as Killian said, for the past 10 days he's been there. And there seems to be a rift now created between the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard. He played 9 games earlier on this season, with going down then when the parent left shoulder tear and then again leaving the team with that right quad. It seems as if the Spurs just rushed him back, and Kawhi, he's been cleared, but obviously there's something there that he feels that's not coming up on scans, or the doctors aren't seeing, that he doesn't feel like he can play at the minute.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
Is it a matter of his physical health, or is it a case that he's not happy in San Antonio? Like earlier in the season, there were reports saying that he feels alone and isolated in San Antonio. Alex?
With such a quiet guy, Leonard, I don't know if he talks to anyone. He could go to anywhere in the league and sit himself in the corner. Maybe there's something going on upstairs in his head that he's just been thinking he's humble. It's a wild opinion, but you never know with Kawhi, and especially with San Antonio. Nothing leaks in this organisation from top to bottom, and we've never had such confusion or mystery since God knows how long, since David Robinson and Tim Duncan were in their primes back in the day in the mid-90s.
Definitely, the Spurs are, I'd say, one of the best organisations in basketball. I think most would agree with that. They've made the playoffs how many years in a row? And they've had an all-star, I think it was something 20 seasons in a row, which is absolutely crazy. What I was going to say earlier is, when all the reports came out about the rift between San Antonio and Kawhi, everyone thought it was ridiculous. It was just ESPN making up another story. But it looks as though there might be some legitimacy to the story now.
Now, San Antonio finished second in the Western Conference last season. Kawhi Leonard finished third in MVP voting. He was ahead of LeBron James and Isaiah Thomas. He only finished behind James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who were history makers, the two of them. Leonard is a free agent in 2019. There's been reports linking him to the Lakers after it came out that they were supposed to be recalibrating towards that season's free agency rather than this one. Will we see Kawhi Leonard in the San Antonio Spurs jersey beyond 2019?
And I'd just like to add to that what Oisin said. In game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, up 20 plus points on the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, who eventually won the championship. They thought nobody could beat that team, and Kawhi Leonard was leading them over 20 points in game 1, which looked like it could have been a series, and then went down obviously with that injury, with the controversial injury to Zaza Pachulia. But regarding free agency, again with the Spurs, you don't know. It could be anything, and especially with a guy like Leonard on the Spurs, he's not going to tell anybody.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard could just be working out for all we know, but we're just making up stories because we're a bit scared of what might happen. I think everyone wants to see Kawhi Leonard back fit as soon as possible, but you have to wait until he's ready.
He's a guy that can do everything for you, defensively and offensively. He has everything.
The San Antonio Spurs are currently third in the West, but they're only 3 games off New Orleans in 8th. Now, people were jokingly saying that the San Antonio Spurs should try and tank to try and get Luka Doncic after he'd been compared to Ginobili and Hayward. But unfortunately, you can't lose 70 games in 23 games. So regardless of who gets injured and whether or not Kawhi comes back, they're not getting Doncic.
You got to shout out Coach Pop though, with LaMarcus Aldridge, who was injured for parts of the season, and no one else really relevant on that Spurs team still doing a job in San Antonio.
Definitely the best coach in the NBA, if
of all time.
Possibly. If award voting was, as real as it should be.
Fair
as it should be.
Not rigged.
Similar to LeBron winning MVP every year. Greg Popovich winning Coach of the Year every year.
That's a fair statement to make. We'll move on. The Dallas Mavericks. So much has gone on in Dallas. It's just like mind-boggling. At the start of the week, it came out that Mark Cuban, the team owner, directed the team to tank so they could get better draft pick or whatever. For that, he was fined $600,000. But then later in the week, some more disturbing news. It had been described as a hostile working environment, that there is inappropriate sexual acts going on involving the former team president, Terdema Useri, and domestic violence with the team reporter Earl Sneed, who was fired in the aftermath. Alex, I'll go to you. What's happened?
Well, the Mavericks, they're fair to say they're not the greatest team in the NBA this year. Yeah. They're only half a game ahead of the Phoenix Suns in the great tank race for the worst team in the NBA at the moment. Cuban, I have respect for Cuban to come out and say that they are tanking. The majority of teams that know they're not going to make the playoffs, they're saying they're going to tank. Now the Suns came out and said that their goal is to win, but we all know that's not true.
Yeah.
Cuban is the only owner in the NBA that would come out and speak his mind. One of the coolest owners in the NBA. But regarding that fine, that $600,000 fine he got, I found a stat there earlier, is that fine to him, he's worth $3.7 billion. That's the equivalent of fining the average American $28, which is not a whole lot.
Oh, there's a bit of a difference. I get what you're going at, but $600,000 compared to 28. But definitely one of the best owners in the NBA. I think everyone will agree. And you have to respect that he'd actually kind of come out and admit that he's tanking. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good method to try and get good in the future, getting good draft picks. We saw us working in Philly, and who knows, it might work in Dallas with Dennis Smith Jr. and a good prospect this year.
The only problem I see with that is that for the players there who've been told that their best option is to lose, it's not a very encouraging sign for them, especially they have guys like Harrison Barnes there, who they're guys that are only coming up, and they see that and think, well, we're not going to be good for quite a while, so why would I stay here? And especially the worst one for me will be Dirk Nowitzki. He see this going on, his franchise, he's been out all his life, and he's just saying, time to hang him up now, no point me sticking around.
Yeah, the Mavs have always made an effort to try and make a good team around Dirk for as long as he's been in the league, really. And now they just seem to have given up trying to tank. And like you said, it's kind of unfair on guys like Harrison Barnes, who Harrison Barnes especially, he's coming into his own this year. He's proven that he's a player and not just a role player on the Warriors, as we saw. And it's kind of unfair for him. He's wasting some of the good years of his career in a place like Dallas where he's going nowhere, just getting paid.
From arguably the greatest team of all time to whatever this is in Dallas.
The Malice.
Okay, next we're going to be talking buyouts, free agency, waivers, everyone wandering around the league trying to figure out what's going on. Killian, let's start with you.
I think one of the biggest names on the free agent market at the moment has to be Derrick Rose. Although he's not the player he used to be back in Chicago, 7 years ago, he can still contribute to a team. In 16 games this year, in 19 minutes, he averaged 10 points per game, which doesn't jump out at you, but it's a good stat. And shooting 48% from the field as well shows he's an efficient player, not just a shot chucker. And wherever he goes, if anywhere, not much interest has been shown in him this year, but I think he'll contribute to whatever team goes to him.
He's not a shot chucker. Yeah, it really is inspiring to see Rose, a guy that's made over $200 million, and has had countless injuries, just been betrayed by his body, a former MVP, but he's still there, he's still practicing, trying to get that last shot in the NBA to get back to that level where he was, one of the more influential players in the NBA, and probably the first ever MVP that we'll see to not make the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
It's
but
discussion for another video though.
That's another week's. I don't know. He's been with New York, Cleveland, since his time in Chicago. At the minute, there's not many teams that want to take a guy like Rose on. There's your playoff teams that are going making a run at the championship, who they don't want him because they have their team set, and then there's the teams that are tanking. Then they won't want to take him on because they're trying to lose.
Yeah.
So it's an icy situation with Derrick Rose, but hopefully he can get back into the league.
I think one of the drawbacks with Derrick Rose, obviously injuries, but another one, he doesn't have the best of attitudes. He's caused a lot of trouble in some places wherever he's been. And earlier this year, we saw him took a break. He took a break.
He abandoned the Cavs.
There was reports, he came out and said that he just was sick of basketball. He was thinking of retiring. But there were reports that he actually got married in that time.
He got secretly married.
So that kind of questions his attitude, his kind of dedication to the team. But who knows?
Take basketball over marriage?
I would anyway.
Just, do we think he'll go anywhere? And if so, where do you think he'll go?
There was reports of him going to the Minnesota Bulls, Timberwolves, joining up with his old teammates Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson and coach Tom Thibodeau. But then it came out that the Wolves aren't looking to take on a guy like Butler. So there's not many situations at the minute that fit Derrick Rose. Obviously when he was released by the Knicks, there was situations that he could go to and he ended up going to Cleveland, which might have fit him, a veteran to come in, cheap deal, and try and make a run the championship. But at the minute, looking around the league, personally I can't see anywhere where he's a good fit or a want/need for a team.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in San Antonio just because Greg Popovich, he can bring the best out of anyone. I think if anyone could get Derrick Rose anywhere near what he used to be, it's Greg Popovich.
But he won't get minutes.
Yeah,
over DeJounte Murray and Tony Parker.
That's the only thing. He won't get many minutes. Their team is set to make a playoff run. Personally, I'd love to see him in Philadelphia. I think he could do some work off the bench for them, score some points for a young team who are looking at making a playoff run this year. I can't wait to watch them.
A vet like Rose on the Sixers would be good, but they're a young team. They have TJ McConnell off the bench and Ben Simmons running the point guard, who's Killian said has been superb and had that triple-double recently. Mr. Triple-double TJ.
My man.
Again, he's an ageing vet. I don't see why Philadelphia would take him on with their young upcoming team as well.
They already got their veteran this season in JJ Redick. That's what he's there for.
And Marco Bellinelli.
Yeah, after signing him just now.
Another one wouldn't do any harm.
I don't know.
Can never have too many vets.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We'll move on. Isaiah Thomas, there's a chance that he could be bought out by the Lakers. He isn't going to be starting ahead of Lonzo Ball, according to Magic Johnson.
Coming back tonight as well, reports.
Yeah, announced by the BBB, not
BBB.
Big Baller brand.
After he told LeVar to be humble. Sit down.
We're still waiting for some contact from LeVar about them free shoes. But yeah.
Moving on.
Isaiah Thomas, Killian, what do you think?
I don't think the Lakers will buy him out personally. He said he wants to start, but as Magic Johnson said, it's more about the minutes you get rather than you start. You can still come off the bench and play more than a player who starts. I can speak for it myself, a Celtics fan. Aaron Baines starts. He only plays like 17 minutes some nights.
Cedi Osman at the Cavaliers, he's been starting for the last few games and he
plays about 20 minutes or something like that.
Actually,
when he played over 20 minutes, they went on a 4-game win streak. So played 17 minutes last night and they lost.
Where'd you find that stat?
Per sources.
Yeah, knew it.
Shout out to my man Tony. Right, so Isaiah Thomas, if he goes, where do you think he'll go?
He won't go anywhere. I can't see it at all. Again, as Killian said, there's a lot of combinations out there of people that come off the bench and start. Isaiah might end up playing more minutes than Lonzo, we don't know. Especially as he's coming back from this knee injury, the sprained MCL. But it doesn't make a difference. I think it was his agent causing more fuss, and it wasn't coming directly from Isaiah. But Alonzo Ball recently reached out to Isaiah to ask about a possibility of a workout together. So they seem to be working well. They're shooting some threes there the last day together. So they seem happy, and I think they'll both learn something from each other.
Definitely, Lonzo could learn a lot from a guy like Isaiah Thomas. Lonzo's a very humble player. He's shown a willingness to learn from the players around him. I don't really think any playoff team would take on Isaiah Thomas in a starting role. Most of them have their team set, and they're not going to take on another starter this late into the season. That's about it, really. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think they're going to buy him out.
Can Alonzo teach IT how to grow?
He said he grew in the summer.
He said,
I don't think he did, though.
Very debatable.
One team we're not going to see Isaiah Thomas at, though, is the New Orleans Pelicans. Remember that bust up with Rondo? They've been talking trash, for a couple of months now. After the Celtics were supposed to be giving a tribute to Isaiah Thomas.
And Rondo came out saying that that's not what we honour in here in Boston.
We don't honour conference finals.
We hang banners, not conference finals.
He shows the Celtic spirit, even though he's been gone for
he's
a while.
a Celtic for life.
Gotta love Rondo.
I don't like him personally, but anyway, we'll leave that for
It's a discussion for another video.
Vince Carter. Where's he gonna go? He's the greatest. Yeah, he had the greatest dunk contest.
Greatest dunker of all time.
He got leaps.
Jumped over a French man.
Levine by then.
Poor French man.
Be Giannis jumped over. Who was it? Tim
Yeah,
Hardaway.
but Giannis is 7 foot.
That's true. Anyway, Vince Carter.
Yeah.
Where's he going?
One thing he has to get out of Sacramento. Last night against Oklahoma, attempted an almost half-court three-pointer to win the game with 7 seconds to go. It seems all well until he airballed, and then Russell Westbrook hit the game winner. But trying to be a hero, Vince. I'd like to see Vince on a team like the Warriors or Houston, because he's still efficient, and who wouldn't love to see Harden or Chris Paul throwing a lob to Vince Carter in the playoffs?
A lob to Vince Carter, 41
a lob to
years
Vince
old.
Carter, 41. He can still dunk. He can still get up there.
There have been reports, though, that both Toronto and Boston are interested. I wouldn't mind him in Boston, but I'd like to see him return to Toronto just because kind of
It's
finish
his
off his
hometown.
career. He might retire this year, maybe next year. It'll be soon enough anyway. So I kind of want him to go back to Toronto just for that.
But reportedly, Toronto have pulled out, saying
That's what I heard as well.
they don't want to take Vince.
That's kind of horrible, in
That-
my opinion.
That's bad on the Raptors.
That's kind of like,
That's-
Dwayne Wade was traded to the Heat, obviously. Everyone knows that.
I got excited.
Say the Cavs proposed that trade. Miami Heat were just like, no, don't want Dwayne Wade.
Yeah,
It's kind of
there's-
like that.
all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Every Heat fan.
especially when they don't have to give up anything for him.
Yeah.
A roster spot. They do have a lot of young guys there that they might want to leave onto their minutes, but it's Vince.
It's Vince.
And as well with the Celtics, they're on the market for every free agent buyout. Everyone that's on the buyout market has a chance to go to Boston.
Everyone's linked to Boston, and everyone always talks about Celtics fans like they think they're getting everyone. 'Cause we're linked to everyone, like it's kind of how it is.
And all you got was Greg Monroe.
Yeah, he's an alright player, but yeah.
Okay, next, Joakim Noah. He's been with the Knicks for a couple of seasons now. He's been averaging about 6 minutes per game in the time he's been there. He's done very little. He's been extremely disappointing after his couple of seasons where he was actually really good in
MVP candidate.
in Chicago.
Defense Player of the Year.
Almost in the same year as well.
Almost.
Reports coming out just before we came on air that the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are all interested in adding him if he becomes a free agent. Go to you first, Alex. What do you think?
The most overplayed basketball player in NBA history. Halfway through his first season, getting paid, I believe,
17 million.
17 million a year.
Yeah.
Halfway through that 17 million a year season, the first one, he was in the G League. It was the G League at the time. Now the G League.
Now the G League.
He was in the D League. It's bad on a Knicks part to give a guy that much money who hadn't proven anything after them good seasons he had down in Chicago, where he was a role player. He knew his role and he played that role well alongside MVP Rose and the up-and-coming Jimmy Butler, but I don't know why a team would take him on. The Warriors, they have their big guys. He's not going to do much for you. There's no disrespect to Joakim Noah, but he can't do much in this NBA. He used to have that athletic ability. He can give you a small bit on the defensive end, but aside from that, he's the ugliest, arguably the ugliest form in NBA history as well.
Mark Fultz is pushing it a little bit, but
he's different.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. Killian, what do you think about Joakim Noah?
I don't really know why guys would go for a guy like Joakim Noah, or teams I should say. Like Alex said, one of his main things was his defense. With his athleticism kind of dropping over the last few years, his defense has gotten a lot worse, substantially worse compared to his Defensive Player of the Year, and I believe in his Defensive Player of the year in 2014, I believe it was. I think teams would be better off going for a guy like Larry Sanders if he shows any interest in returning. He played for the Cavs last year for a couple of games, and I think he could contribute. He's only 28 years old. He can still do a lot more than a guy like Joakim Noah.
Andrew Bogut, is he still out there?
He is.
He is still out there.
He's been extremely injury prone the last few years though.
He got injured after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
On the
Poor
Cavs.
lad.
Man's trying to be like D Rose. Before we go, is there any maybe lesser spotted free agents we might like to talk about? I'll start with you, Killian.
I think a guy like Monte Ellis would be a brilliant one. He's a free agent right now. Just last season, he averaged 8.5 points per game in 27 minutes, which isn't great, but he's still a good scorer in the NBA. He averaged 20 plus points per game 4 times, 18 plus 8 times in his time in Golden State and in Milwaukee. I think he'd be able to provide a bit of experience and some scoring off the bench for a playoff team.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to Brandon Jennings. Tore it up over in China. He's still only 28 and he's back in the G League with the Wisconsin Herd, Milwaukee's G League affiliate, and playing well. He's had a few performances the last couple of games and obviously, took China basketball to a whole new level. He lit it up over there. I'd love to see him. He's a guy, unlike Rose, that can come in and actually do something for your team.
Harsh.
He can shoot, and if you can shoot, there's always a job for you in the NBA.
Yeah, Derrick Rose 25% from 3 isn't going to cut it.
Jennings is a volume shooter as well. He's like a Lou Williams guy. He can come in and light it up.
Ty Lawson?
Is there reports of him going to Washington, or is that another guy?
I think so. But again, Ty Lawson, 30 years old. He didn't do much when he was in the NBA.
He made an All-Star game, didn't he?
In Denver, he had a bit, but he's been out of the league a few years. He's a small guy. Small guys tend to lose their touch quicker, as we've seen with IT.
Yeah, someone I'd like to mention though, Tony Allen. Just last year he was second team all defense, and I think he could really contribute a bit of defense off the bench.
Right, we'll move on to we had All-Star Weekend just now. I'm going to start with you, Alex. Let's go through everything that happened.
We'll start with the highlight of All-Star Weekend, the celebrity game.
Woo! Like that noise.
Team Clippers against Team Lakers. It was the Quavo Huncho show, as I myself predicted here last weekend. He finished with 19 points and the game MVP, and was told by Kevin Hart to stay out of my game next year. Of course, Kevin Hart with them MVPs. He's known as Mr. Celebrity Game. Sees Quavo as maybe a bit of a threat to his legacy, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, you predicted the Quavo MVP. And my MVP prediction, Rachel Demita, she had 17 points. But I'd like to mention she played 14 less minutes than Quavo. She could have easily scored more than him, but
Quavo swatted
yeah,
Rachel Demita out of the fight.
I thought she broke her leg when that happened. I was so scared.
And then, gotta respect him, he shot his shot then. He said, "Sorry, massage on me." To Rachel Demita. There's something going on there.
Something happened to do with them there.
But I'd like to mention as well, quickly, just Jamie Foxx, the actor, of course. He made his case for MVP, saying it's Black History Month, so give it to the black actor.
Fair
Despite
enough point.
despite scoring 0 points, I might mention, that was his case for MVP.
I mean, like, with Black Panther this month, I mean, there's a lot of talk about that, but
Watching it.
he's not MVP.
Watching in about an hour, aren't we, Alex? Wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Have fun, guys. Right, dunk contest. Donovan Mitchell. Oh my God, he was just. I mean, that was pretty good. Like, you know, with all them dunks when he recreated Vince Carter's, you know, reverse 360. I mean, with with the jersey and all. I mean, that was just the icing on the cake. I'm going to start with you, Killian. What do you think of the dunk contest?
Just like to mention, I predicted that. I said Donovan Mitchell was going to win, but anyway.
He wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah. I think his first dunk was really underrated. The one where he lobbed it off the second backboard to himself was absolutely brilliant. I love that dunk. There was a lot of controversy over whether or not he should have won. A lot of people say Larry Nance Jr. should have won, and he did
that
put
tap
on a
dunk.
show. That tap dunk. It looked so bad the first time. With the replay, it was amazing.
He pointed to the board. He said, "Watch that again."
He
said, "Watch that back."
Dennis Smith Jr. He got eliminated, but he apparently, had he gotten to the final round, he was going to use J. Cole for his dunk, and then so he was gonna get J. Cole is gonna throw it against the backboard. Dennis Smith is gonna dunk it. J. Cole is gonna catch that ball and then dunk himself. That would have been pretty cool to watch, right?
If he jumped over him while doing that'd be amazing.
Dennis Smith, he voiced his upset at the judges on Twitter after the contest, after scoring a 39 on his first dunk on that double pump. He called out that the judges gave Victor Oladipo a 31 on his Black Panther dunk, which he missed the first time. And then he came out with that 50 for the second dunk, that was something else. But after that first dunk, nothing was going to bring him back from there.
Okay, very briefly, the skills challenge. Al Horford coming on top there.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
It was Spencer Dinwiddie, Dilly. Alex predicted.
Called it. Some of them for Brooklyn to cheer for.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't had much hope. Dinwiddie has really come on this year, hitting clutch shots down the stretch. He's their clutch shooter. He ends the game, it's tight, the ball's in the hands of Spencer Dinwiddie. And he showed during the skills challenge, I know it's the skills challenge, he hit some clutch 3-pointers.
He did.
He had the comeback against Gary Harris and the comfortable win against the Bulls, Larry Markkinen. But I'd just like to quickly mention Joel Embiid's controversial cheating. That
it wasn't really cheating though.
He came out and said it wasn't cheating. It's
the rules state if you throw 3 passes you can move on, but he kind of just threw them to the side.
He just took it off the rack.
Yeah, it was a bit controversial, but
and also
that's Joel Embiid for you.
It's the first time the guards have defeated the bigs in this.
It's kind of surprising when it was first announced.
Format.
When it was first announced, everyone said the guards. Oh, this is bad. The guards are going to win every
in the last
single
3
year.
years.
Yeah, the guards have only won once, which is kind of surprising.
Dinwiddie upset them.
Yeah, upset the big men.
3-point contest, Alex.
Devin Booker was
predicted
on fuego. 28 points in the championship round, beating Klay Thompson's 25. Who Klay Thompson coming to the last rack didn't have a chance. He made I think 4 out of 5 on the last rack, and still couldn't do it. Booker 28 points, a record in this current format with the Moneyball rack. Shot 20 for 25, which is, work it out yourself, but that's mad.
80%.
And as well as Spencer Dinwiddie, Booker even came out and said it's nice because they haven't had much to cheer about.
Yeah.
Down in Phoenix.
Rising Star game briefly. Team World comfortably beat Team USA. I'll start with you, Killian.
Bogdanovich with the MVP, 26 points, 7 threes. A bit controversial. A lot of people said Jaylen Brown should have won, despite being on the losing team, with 35 points and 10 assists. But I'd just like to give a shout out to Ben Simmons. 11 points, 13 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 steals. Brilliant stat line.
Shooting 100%.
100% on 5 shots. But big shout out to him. Bogdanovich did well. Good game. Some nice dunks. That's about it, really.
And some threes. A lot of deep threes.
A lot of deep
yeah,
threes.
The world team dismantled the USA, it's fair to say. no showing of the USA pride. Where's the Team America, the beers and eagles flying over the place? That's what Team USA needed. They had no Lonzo Ball or no Malcolm Brogdon, and with the Rising Stars, there's no replacements. So they're down to Jaylen Brown. Obviously, was at 35-point performance, and then no one to help him out. Donovan Mitchell 7 points, Tatum with 15, and Kuzma with 20.
15's not bad.
The big one, the All-Star game, Team LeBron, just about beat Team Curry. Killian?
It was actually a good All-Star game, very close. Came down to the last shot, 148 to 145, I believe it was. DeMar DeRozan missed the last three. Curry couldn't get one up. LeBron James won the MVP, as everyone probably knows. He had 29 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. LeBron was LeBron last night, on the All-Star night. And that's about it. A quick shout out to Kyrie Irving. I think he had a really good sly game with 13 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds.
Shout out to Celtics players. Shout out to Celtics
players. I like my
players.
Celtics players, man.
We called it LeBron James. An amazing stat line. Once more again. Last time he won the All-Star Game MVP. None of the All-Stars this year were even drafted.
That's kind of crazy.
That's something about LeBron James. But your mention about Kyrie having that game, I would love to mention my All-Star, Goran Dragic, but Coach Casey was called out for not giving players a chance. Goran Dragic played 11 minutes, LaMarcus Aldridge played 4, Kemba Walker played 14, compared to Team Curry, and they had a lot more a balanced stat line, and LeBron was the only player to play over 30 minutes in the game. So,
in an All-Star game, it should be a lot more balanced.
Yeah,
you do want to see the stars like LeBron and Curry, but the other players are all-stars too. They deserve the spotlight. What about Jimmy Butler? Chose to sat out the game.
He was under the weather.
Lou Williams wasn't happy about that.
He voiced his opinion on Twitter.
I think it's a bit unfair.
It is very unfair.
On guys like Lou Williams, he obviously really wanted to make the All-Star game. And then a guy like Jimmy Butler just chose to sat out.
But defense won the game.
Defense won the game. I said defense.
Team Curry couldn't get up a 3-pointer, and there was 81 points less than last year's in New Orleans.
You can see there was a bit more intensity in the game.
Yeah, nobody was diving over dunks this year. Okay, so that's it for our All-Star wrap-up. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick-fire debate. We talked about Kawhi Leonard earlier. Now we're going to decide which situation is weirder. Markel Fultz with his injury, or Kawhi Leonard with the quad. I'm going to start with you, Killian. Which side are you taking?
I'm taking Markel Fultz. Who knows what's going on in Philly? Sure, they have a bit of a reputation with that kind of thing. We have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. Embiid missed his first 2 years in the NBA, pretty much half his second year. Ben Simmons missed his first year in the NBA. But this Markel Fultz situation is nothing compared to that. He had the supposed shoulder injury. There's a lot of suspect over whether he was injured or not. But recently, reports have come out that he's actually under induced amnesia. I couldn't get that out of my mouth.
Good job, Alex.
Because you suffering from amnesia as well?
Yeah, I can't remember how to say it, man. But because of the amnesia, he's forgotten how to shoot or something. He clearly can't shoot anymore. Whether or not that's the cause, who knows? It could be. He was the number one pick, and there's a lot of pressure coming with that. Even if Lonzo Ball took a lot of that pressure off him.
Yeah, that's one of my main points.
Yeah.
There was no pressure on Fultz. People say he's the number one pick and whatever, but people valued Lonzo Ball as the number one overall pick, even though he went second.
He's all that hype this year.
All that hype on LeVar Ball and the Lakers. Fultz seemed to be flying under the radar and could have had a great season, but he played a few games there at the start of the year, and my God, it was ugly.
Yeah.
Oh, shooting double pump fadeaways on wide open shots. It didn't seem to work. He had his fluid drained from his right shoulder.
Yeah, he did.
And then
I think his fluid pumped into it or something.
That's weird and all.
It was weird.
But Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio. This is San Antonio.
What happens in San Antonio?
The top tier prestige NBA franchise. Nothing goes wrong in San Antonio. One of the best GMs, one of the best staff, full stop.
Yeah, the management system.
Their scouting team, guys like Ginobili, Tony Parker,
DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, there's so much. It's just always in perfect shape, and especially when you have a guy like Kawhi Leonard, such a humble, laid back player, that he's almost seemingly a perfect fit with your franchise, and it's just not working out. There's something wrong. There's a rift there. He doesn't trust the San Antonio Spurs, and if you don't trust the San Antonio Spurs, I don't know who you can trust in the NBA.
That's true. There's a lot of
That's
stakes
why.
in the NBA.
That's why I feel it's a slightly weirder. They're both equally as weird,
They're both mental.
but nothing happens in San Antonio, so I got to take that situation over Philly.
Right. Well, we're going to have to leave that there, but my personal opinion, I think, Markel Fultz, stress-induced amnesia, I mean, that's pretty mad. Sorry, Alex.
But
Sorry.
it's happened to Philly
Kawhi
before.
sitting out. Markel Fultz forgot how to shoot.
They're three first players, first round pick players. It's happened before.
We're going to discuss Philadelphia in further detail
Made up injuries.
next week. We have 2 shows next week. Watch out. Wednesday and Saturday.
Hopefully.
We got this. Want to shout out our social media. We are Team Eurostep on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. So get at us, whatever thoughts you have. Support us on Patreon. We're patreon.com/Team Eurostep. Help us grow.
Improve the videos.
As little as €1 a month can really help us out here. And again, thanks to CRC, Community Radio Castlebar 102.9 FM, for hooking us up with this beautiful studio. Gonna have to leave that there. Goodbye from Killian, goodbye from Alex, and goodbye from me. Keep grinding, kids.